Hi guys. This week in reading, we're going to be talking a lot about making connections while we are reading. And so I'm going to go over how to make connections, and you're going to actually see this graphic organizer Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so not just today. So I want to go over what making connections is, but before we do, I want to tell you your objective. Today you will be able to make a connection while you're reading using a fictional story. So making connections is just you reading a text and remembering something that either happened to you, something that happened in another book that you've read, or something that's going on in the world. So let me break that down for you. So there's 3 different ways to make connections. The first is text to self. And so you might think, oh, this reminds me of a time, and then you think about that time. So that's using your prior knowledge, your prior experience to make a connection to something in that text. For instance, if you're reading a story about a dog and you have a dog, you might make the connection that I have a dog just like this person has a dog, so this person must love their dog just like I love my dog. That is a connection that you've made in the story. And text to text is whenever you remember, when you're reading a story and you remember a part of another story and you've made that connection to that story. So for instance, if you're reading a story about a rainbow and talks about how at the end of the rainbow there's a pot of gold, and then you remember, oh, I remember in this other story, this other character found some gold too. So you made a connection to that story. So it's a text-to-text connection. You're remembering something that happened in another story you've already read. And that's text-to-text. And then text-to-world is when something reminds you in the story, reminds you of something that's going on in the world. For instance, if you're reading a story about how everybody in the school got sick and they were all... everybody was having to stay home and they couldn't be sick. But then that reminds you of, oh, right now, we're in the middle of the COVID pandemic, and so everybody has to stay home. So you make a connection, something that happened in the world to what you're reading in the book. So that is a text-to-world connection. So today, I am going to read to you... Okay, so I am going to read to you the text that I'm going to make connections to so you can understand how to do it in your assignment. So I'm going to read this story to you real quick. It's called A Spider's Scheme. A spider scheme. The jumping spider had the idea to take over the world. His plan was perfect. If the spiders worked together, they could defeat the humans in 1 year. The jumping spider sent the daddy long legs to spread the word. However, daddy long legs are slow and, to be frank, lazy. Most simply asked other spiders to do the work for them. Spiders being lonely creatures, word traveled slowly. In time, this game of telephone went around the world. Spiders do not like humans as a rule, so almost all of them liked the idea. Some forest spiders had never seen a human, so they had no thoughts on them. In Eastern Europe, the spiders thought the attack was on. This led to videos that the humans laughed at on their phones. In some cities in North America, the spiders rioted in streets and were quickly crushed by vehicles. Spiders all around the world started attacking the humans in different ways, and failing. The plan was in ruins, but the jumping spider held out hope. He gathered what troops he could and led a final attack on London. A city was better than nothing, right? Long story short, English exterminators had a record year, and the jumping spider retreated to a tree in a park. There he met a young ant queen who surprised him in how orderly and focused her ants were. A new plan began to form. Okay, so while I was reading the story, I was thinking of different things that were going on in the story that I made connections to. So in order to organize my thoughts, I decided to put together this graphic organizer and go bit by bit to organize the connections I've made. So we're going to look at 4 different items to analyze while you are doing your assignment. So character analysis, events, theme, and topic of text. So character analysis, what character in the story do you connect with? What traits do you connect with? Or do you have a text-to-text connection or a text-to-world connection, not just a text-to-self connection? The events, what events do you connect with And do you connect with the conflict in the story, or do you connect with the solution? And then the theme. Do you connect with the theme of the story? Have you learned this lesson that's in the story? Did you help teach the lesson? Or any other connections you can make? Topic of text. Do you connect with the topic of the story? And do you have a similar story? So in this column, you're going to write your connections for each, for character analysis, events, theme, and topic. So for my character analysis, I said the spider reminds me of Charlotte in Charlotte's Web. She was determined to help Wilbur. Friends, that is just like the spider in this story was determined to take over the world. So this is a text-to-text connection. So Charlotte's Web connected it to the spider scheme. So I'm going to write that down real quick. Text to text. That is one text to another text connection. Then the next one was the events. So my connection was I've been to London. So the scene when they tried to attack London reminded me of being there. So that is a text to self connection. That was something that happened to me. It reminded me of that event that I had been a part of. And then the theme. The theme is never give up. That jumping spider kept trying and trying and trying no matter what. So I connected to the theme with a text to self connection. I had to keep going to get my college degree and I never gave up. So that is also a text to self connection. And then finally, the topic of the text. So the topic is basically talking about this plan that this spider has and how he's trying to make the plan work. So the topic is scheme or plan. So I said the world has to plan about how we can go back to school. So that, my friends, is a text to world connection. A text to world connection. So those are all the connections I've made with this spider scheme. Now, today we're looking at just this fictional text. You're going to have your text provided based on your grouping. So look for your leveled text for your groups, and then you're going to go in there and you're going to read your story. Then you're going to fill out your graphic organizer for today. Keep in mind, we are going to continue working with this story. On Thursday, you will find that we're going to make a text-to-text connection using the fictional story you have, and then tomorrow you're going to be doing a poem, making connections with a poem. So just keep that in mind. So remember, making connections is 3 different ways: text to self, text to text, text to world. It reminds me of text to self is it reminds me of a time when. Text to text is it reminds me of a book or a text. And then the text to world is it reminds me of something in the world, that something's going on. So today, remember, go in there, read your leveled text for your group, and then you're going to complete the graphic organizer that I have provided for you. And then, guys, it doesn't have to be super long, just a real quick connection on each one of them, just to help you connect to that story so you can remember the story better. And then submit that assignment to me. So remember, today's objective is that you will be able to make a connection while you are reading a fictional story. So read that story, complete the graphic organizer, and then submit it to me, and I will look over it. Remember, have a good week. Make sure you're working hard and staying focused. Take care, guys.